Hey Holly, alright, so here's your past life spread. So what we're going to do again is look at where we're going, what you did with the majority of your time, an important day with the relations and feelings involved, another important day just like that, the death and lesson learned, hints of time throughout. Again, all I'm going to do is relay to you the images and impressions coming through, and your job is going to be to try to make connections where you can. I'll try to help. And so a couple things have come through that I do want to mention before we dive into this. So first, it feels like there was a fleeting aspect coming through, wanting to, basically when that happens, it feels like notifying you of, it feels like it would be like Egyptian. If so, so this has, I feel like, nothing to do with this. So this was just something coming through where it was Egyptian. So if there's any connection with that to look into or that you have had, just keep that in the back of your mind. I don't know what that's for. And then there was a word that came through with this and the person that came through with this. And so I just want to actually like put it out there because I'm not 100% sure with, you know, all this kind of stuff. It's like you just get what you get, what comes through, and I would just relay it. So what comes through is it feels like this aspect we're looking at, it's almost like possibly almost like an ancestor that might be your ancestor, literally, like in this life, that you might have reincarnated from. So have you heard of like babies being born like right after their, you know, Nana passed away, and then it's almost like that's her? Or like right before they, after they pass away, then they say, oh, that's just like her, or she has her soul, or she has her, whatever it is, like that kind of thing. That's what it feels like. So just even immediately, if you know, if you've heard anything like that in your life from your family, that you remind them of so-and-so, that's just something that's come up. So bear with me, and I've never had that before. That's why I just want to mention it and put it out there in case you can connect in some way. But that's the aspect we're also looking at today. So it feels like, let's just start here. So where we're going is Europe, right? So here's the European card. And immediately I'm just going to go to where I was shown, like, before I even put that card down. And it feels very heavily Scottish. And it feels very heavily like a man. And it also feels like a heavy man. And I feel like we're dealing with this aspect that it's not just he's tall and he's broad and he is. And so there is this word that came through that I don't know the word, but I know I've heard it before, or maybe I read it when I was a kid or something. But the word, I don't know what it means. So please go ahead and Google, because I'll probably Google after this. Brogue. So it's being spelled in my mind like Brogue. So I don't know if that's even the correct spelling. Just bear with me. You know what I mean? So I don't know what that is. It could be a name. It could be a type of person. It could be a place. So just look up that word because it's coming through. And I don't know if it's his name or not. So I'm not going to just refer to him as Brogue. But this guy, so it feels very Scottish. It feels like we're looking at, I guess, what they would call the Highlands. Like it feels very like independent of like a civil government, because it feels like the aspect we're looking at is this man here. It feels like he is the leader, like he is like the planet that his people orbit around, and there's something about his personality that's so infectious, or I don't know what the word is, but it's like so alive and invigorating and like motivating and inspiring. And it's like his energy is like, you just be by him and you'll get ideas. You be near him and you'll feel better, or you'll feel like you can take on the world. It's a very cool vibe, and I feel like that is like part of what made him such, or makes him here such like a beloved character in his in this kingdom, in this town, and wherever we are. But they're setting us high up. It feels like we're like in mountains. There's a lot of green. There's also a lot of gray from like the bogs. Like it's weird. So because I thought bogs were down. So maybe there's like, I don't know. Maybe it just feels like he has a lot of property of different terrain or something like that. Okay, sorry. So basically, little connections you could be making would be If you've ever, first of all, the pull, the magnetism, if you have friends come to you and you find that after you talk with them or after you meet with them, they feel invigorated, refreshed, re-energized, they have new ideas, they feel motivated and inspired. So if you have that energy about you, it's kind of like in the feminine form, it'd be like kind of like a muse, but not in the sense of like, oh, just like sitting there while someone paints you muse. This is more like just the energy of a muse where you just get people like up and started again kind of thing. Also note though, if you're around people a lot, then after you're done with people and you feel drained, then you need to do something about that, like a shield or something like that, so that you don't feel drained, because that's people that are draining your energy, and that's why they're feeling energized, but they're not doing it on purpose, and it's not a bad thing. Whereas there are some people that intentionally will do it, like as not a good friendly thing, but it feels like that's not the case here. So, but that's only if you do feel drained. Some people, you might feel energized after meeting with people, you know what I mean? So just keep that in mind. Make connections where you can with that. Then there's also just plainly the connection with Scotland. If you feel pulled towards Scotland, if you've ever wanted to visit Scotland, if you've seen photos of it and you're like, wow, like just so intrigued and pulled towards it. And if not, then go ahead, like if you haven't even really thought about it, go look at photos of Scotland and look at the photos that are more like Highlands, or like try to find depictions or photos of how Scotland was set up back before there was like one government kind of controlling it kind of thing, like back when there were kingdoms. I know. So what they're bringing through is that movie called Brave. There's a movie, like a Disney movie. Here, let me fix that a little bit. There's a Disney movie called Brave, and I think it is Scottish, with the orange-haired girl. And it's like her dad. That's what we're looking at. We're like literally looking at her dad as this aspect of you. And that's also the time period is what it feels like. So if you Google that movie and the time period it was supposed to be set in, it feels very much like that. I'm trying to see if there are even, because I'm trying to get more details. Okay, so let's say that these little kingdoms had like colors assigned to them through their, are they called tartans? That's what the word's coming through is tartans. It's like the plaid. That's the plaid, right? So if you look up the plaids, and it feels like the plaids tell a story. And so it feels like your story with the plaid, it's like your story has a blue in it that, okay, I know this is weirdly detailed even for me, but the blue in this plaid is specific. And it's almost like, I want to say, if you find this blue in the plaid, like on Google, if you Google it, I feel like it would tell you which clan it comes from, quite frankly. And I want to say the closest blue is, I'm gonna show you right here on this carpet right here. Hold on, where is it? There we go. If you can see that, it's like this blue right here, or I guess this blue right here. And it's really funny too, because there's red with this blue, and that's the color that they're showing me actually. So it's it's very similar to that. Anyway, so it feels like that is the plaid, the color of their plaid, identifying them. It's almost like he's giving me that, almost like a identifier. So see what you can find. That'd be really cool, because I love treasure hunts when it comes to these kinds of things. And anyway, let me see what else is coming through with this guy. Is it just showing me, I mean, like, he has facial hair, but it's not like that huge beard. It's just like, it's like it's a thick mustache that goes out into a beard that covers the chin, but it's not a beard that hangs down like past the neck or anything like that. So which, by the way, if oh, this is gonna be weird. If you ever felt like, if you make any motions with your hands like this when you're like on your face, you know, like if you go like this, like you had a beard, because I've had some people where they've had beards in other lives, and they say, oh, it's funny because I do this to my face, like I'll caress my face or do something like this with my face, where my beard would be, right? It's the coolest thing. And if not, that's fine, but these are little things you could be thinking about. Another connection would be the fact of him being a ruler of a kingdom. So the idea of being a leader, what does that do for you? One, do you shy away from it, which would be opposite here? Or two, in this life, do you always feel like I should be in charge, or I should be running this group, or I know what to do? That kind of, you know, the that internal stuff of a leader, like knowing how to dictate, how to, not in a bad way, obviously, but like how to, you know, what's it called? Ugh, it's not dictate, it's sending people out to do various jobs. And there's a word for it, and I totally cannot understand, I can't pull up the word right now. But, oh, I want to. Hold on. No, it's delegate. There's the word. Okay, delegate. So are you good at delegating tasks or chores? Are you good at multitasking? Are you good at, you know, basically having your hands on a bunch of things? But also this would be indicative of someone that would be really good as a managing something, overseeing something. That it's basically telling you in a message that you have this within you. If you're not aware of it, or if you don't think you do, it's a part of you. Or maybe you can see that in you. This could also be like if you're a mother and you are really good at what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I every mother I come across is like, I have no idea what I'm doing. But like, you know, really, like you might be really, again, good at delegating tasks and things like that kind of thing. So keep that in mind. This is also good for if you're thinking of, let's say not a new career, but like maybe a new, maybe like a side business or a side hobby or something you want to start up on the side over here to see if it's working, whatever. You would do really well with that if you were in charge. Basically, it feels like, if anything, don't shy away from a leadership role simply because you might not think that you could handle it, or maybe you think, whatever excuse there is, don't shy away from a leadership role if it's presented to you, basically. In a nutshell is what it feels like. That's basically it. What else? The idea of community. This is very interesting because he has a close-knit community around him. It feels like most people, I'm just gonna say everyone loves him, and he keeps things, you know, safe and protected. Security. So there's a theme of security coming up. So if you are big on security, even if it's the kind of thing where you're like, I want to make sure I have like ADT for my house, like that kind of thing. Or maybe you are paranoid about double locking doors, double locking cars, whatever it is having to do with security, protection. Are you protective? That kind of thing would be a connection. And the community thing, again, would be a connection. So if community is important to you in that way, or finding a community or being part of a community in that way, keep that in mind. That is connections here. And we're just going to go ahead and move on to this next card because I feel like we spent a lot of time on that first card. So here we have what you do with the majority of your time, which we explained, but this is the give card. And what do leaders do? Good leaders, they give of themselves, their time and energy, mental faculties, everything. They give their life to their people. And it feels like any connection you can make with this, it would be a message also about giving your life for others. Which is the message coming through is a interesting balance, a message about balance. Make sure you're giving your life for others. Yes, okay, yes, that means you're serving others, you love others, but make sure that you're not living for others. You know, there's a delicate balance when it comes to that, especially if you're a mother or a wife or whatever. You know, you have people relying on you, people you love, and it's easy to forget that we are first and foremost here to live our own lives because we do love so much, and when we love other people so much, we get caught up in creating a routine to show them that. And when we do that, we kind of forget to show ourselves that we love ourselves, right? So just make sure that you're filling up your own love bucket is the message. Just make sure. You could still be a giver, but make sure if you're going to be a giver, give to yourself equally, if not more. So keep that in mind. And this, I feel like, will also bring about a peace in your life about something that might be bothering you, about certain people. There might be certain people in your life, basically, that might get on your nerves, or the idea of spending time with them might bother you. And I feel like if that's the case, if you're finding any kind of a grudgy aspect or a resentment aspect in your life towards anybody, it would be because you're not showing yourself enough love, probably when it comes specifically to them. Like if they were to pop up and needed something, the kind of thing where you would compromise what you're doing in the moment in order to get up and help them. So just make sure that you don't do that. People can really take care of themselves. Like really, even children, they can take care of themselves in big ways. Like you'll be surprised. So it's almost like the idea of making sure that you're not being an enabler for someone or not allowing other people to learn their lesson of standing on their own 2 feet just because you want to help and you love them so much and that kind of thing, or you're a giver, right? So that's the message too, is just make sure that you are prioritizing yourself. And when you do prioritize yourself and make sure that your needs are taken care of and a lot of your wants are met before turning to others, you're going to see there is no resentment at all anymore, or you're not going to be building any over time. So keep that in mind as we move forward. And we're going to go to the first important day here. And this is the Mother Nature card. It usually means that there's like a natural disaster happening in some way. And the relationship here is the soulmate card. And then the feelings here is betrayed. So let's see what is happening here. What is happening? Okay, so this is really interesting because I haven't had this one before. So with Mother Nature, usually it's like a natural disaster, like I said, like a storm or something. Usually it's something that causes barriers in some way, whether it's a flood or a tornado wrecks things, and then there's things that need to be cleaned up, blah, blah, blah. This feels like there's a clearing, and it's the clearing that is like a very unusual thing here. So I don't know if it's because when I, with Scotland, the feel of it is dense to me because of the greenery. It's dense. It doesn't mean it's like low vibration dense. It means it's just dense. Like literally, when I think of it, I just think of like a wall of solid green, you know? So it feels like here, it's almost like the parting of that density. It's almost like it's like a fog being blown. It's like a bog or a fog being like, so hold on, there's something. Okay, so this is completely new, so I'm going to maybe fumble through explaining what I'm seeing here. Okay, so it feels like there's land, and it has to do with his land. And it feels like there's a clearing being made in the land, almost like a pathway, as though they're connecting. Like, it's almost like a road is being built. Okay, so there's a road being built, but it wouldn't have been built unless something happened where it needed to be cleared. And once the clearing started, it was like they decided, I don't know who they are, but they decided to build a road and connecting a lot of the communities. It almost feels like when the government, it's like let's say there's lots of little kingdoms, but there's like one overriding king kind of thing to these little kingdoms. And it's almost like he's like, okay, we're gonna bring everyone together and we're gonna build these roads so it's all connected, so my people can go talk to these people over here and there. It's not like a hike through the mountains or the woods. So basically it feels like we're looking at, okay, you're gonna have to Google this. What it could be is, yeah, Google about like building an interconnecting pathway, roadway in Scotland at some time in history in order to unite the clans. That's all I got for you. That would probably help you as far as the time period too that we're looking at here, if you can find something about that. Because again, it feels like because of something Mother Nature wise, because let's say there was like a flood and they needed to clear and like dig ditches to, let's say there was a flood, okay, here's the image. Flood, people on the sides digging ditches so the water comes off, so the flood comes down. And so there's a path where the flood was, and so they're like, let's just build roads, let's start this. That's what it feels like. So anyway, we're seeing that happen. Now what's interesting is it feels like because of these pathways being made, it feels like this aspect of this guy, it feels like there was clans that previously maybe never even spoke or saw each other often or at all in this lifetime, feels like there's a coming together for the first time in decades or a generation or whatever it is. And the coming together, it's almost like they're talking of not allies, but unifying. So it feels very much like how they would marry off daughters, princesses, whatever, to unify countries. It feels like we're looking at a unification here of clans, and it's like you marry, or your union. I don't know if they called it marriage back then. I don't know, but it feels like this leader, this clan, this aspect of you is getting married to a partner, a woman of the next clan over, or the clan that they want to do business with, or the clan that you want to unify with, or whatever it is, to make allies. So the peace for peace to reign. And it's interesting because then the betrayed card comes in, because it feels like a lot of your people feel betrayed by your decision to unify with this clan, because it feels like this clan and your clan were at odds or even war in the past, and there are bad feelings, and you made the decision, we're going to come together and we'll marry so that we can put peace amongst us. But there's a lot of people, older people and people that know the stories, that feel betrayed by that decision. So here we see the beginnings of a group of people that are not on board with you, with this aspect, with this leader and his decisions for the first time. So this is really interesting. It's very interesting. So I do want to say connections can be made. We're looking at a lot of metaphorical things here, though, too. As far as making pathways, building roadways, uniting people, connecting people. That could be very much because he wasn't against it. He wasn't like, don't do it. He was like, this could be a good thing. So this could speak to your mentality as far as how you feel about other people who previously you may have judged. Are you finding yourself in a transition in your mind of where maybe at one point in your life you used to be very judgmental about a certain kind of people, and now you find, wait, things are different. You see it from a different perspective. Have you found that over time you've opened up, you've been more and more and more and more accepting, wanting to kind of bring everyone together, seeing the peace of bringing everyone together despite their differences, whereas it could have been even in your past, however you were raised or whatever, there might have been separation there. And now as you're getting older, you're realizing that's not necessary. Love is love kind of thing. So that would be a interesting connection there as far as pathways bringing people who are different together. This could also speak to something you might want to, it could be like, oh, are you looking for your purpose? Are you looking for a cause in life? Are you looking to do something good? It could be bringing people together in some way. Maybe something comes to mind as I'm talking right now, and an idea or something you've had in mind as far as bringing people together. It doesn't have to be in large scale. It could just be two people. It could be that you have introduced people that are now getting married or that are dating, or the idea of matchmaking is interesting to you or intriguing. That could also be coming up as far as if you're looking for another career, hobby, something on the side, whatever it may be, bring some money in, but also something that's interesting to you. Matchmaking is a thing. So keep that in mind, because it feels like this decision was very right and good, even though it pissed off plenty of people. And you have to understand, too, that could be coming up for a reason for you, to realize that, you have to trust your instincts and trust your decisions, especially if they come from a good place where it's about love and bringing things together and that kind of thing. Your decisions in that regard, stand by them, hold true to them, feel good about your decisions, because you're always going to piss someone off. Someone's always going to be out there who does not agree with your mindset or your thoughts or your intentions or whatever. You know what I mean? So this is just a reminder for you to remember that the most important decision maker is you for your life, and to hold firm by trust yourself, trust your instincts, that kind of thing. Now, that also speaks to if you are sensitive about people not liking you, if you are sensitive about people judging you, or have been or are, whatever it is, basically a sensitivity. about it would be a connection because he was not sensitive. He was aware, but not sensitive. So it would make sense that you would come back in this life as a female, which females in general feel more, more sensitivity, that you would experience the sensitivity or be aware and experience sensitivity of people who don't like you, who judge you, who, whatever. You could just be highly aware and sensitive of that. In fact, it could be the kind of thing like when you were younger, or even now, where you might see people talking near you and you think they're talking about you. So if you've been insecure or sensitive in that respect, that would be a connection too. And if not, that's fine, but that's just what that might be coming up for. So keep that in mind. Also realize your soulmate might not look like what you think your soulmate looks like. So let's say, for example, you're in a relationship right now and you're really happy. That could be, like, for example, it could be that your partner, you met him under unusual circumstances, and that would be interesting to know. If you are in a relationship and you're not happy, it would be because you might feel like you're bored. Simply that. Because it feels like we're looking at someone, these two people came from very different mindsets, so to speak. Think about this. Like, these two people came from two places and they had to come together and be in a marriage with someone from a clan that they grew up being taught were bad people and being taught to despise them. And now here we are with these two people coming together in marriage. You know what I mean? Can you imagine? Like, can you imagine marrying someone that you have only heard is like the leader of horrible people? You know what I mean? Like, it's difficult. So there's challenges is what it is. Challenges even just getting to the relationship in the first place. So it could be that, well, again, too, also if you're in a relationship and you're happy, there might have been a lot of challenges in the beginning. If you're in a relationship and you're not happy, again, there's the bored thing. But it's not just like, oh, I'm bored, we're sitting here doing nothing. It's more like you might not feel challenged intellectually, mentally stimulated, emotionally challenged, not in a bad way, but like, be like where you help each other grow and you feel more and more expansive emotions as you grow because of what the other does for you. And if you're not in a relationship, then this would just indicate that the right relationship would be someone that you might not even think would be like in your realm of romance, and then here we are, and it's a soulmate, you know what I mean? But this doesn't have to be romantic. This can also just be friends. Soulmates are also friends. These are people that come into your life to teach you lessons. Who are you learning from in your life? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Are you surrounding yourself with people that are helping you learn these lessons, that are encouraging you to grow and expand and develop in ways where you can learn more and more about life and yourself? Or are you surrounding yourself with people that are limiting you and that want you to stay the same and want you to stay unchanging and not growing in that way? You know what I mean? So just make sure you're surrounding yourself with the people that want you to grow and that are encouraging you to grow. Also realizing that there are some people in your life that help you grow in very positive ways that you might not see in a positive light. So keep that in mind. The soulmate card's coming up obviously because relationships in your life are very important, and it's very important on who you surround yourself with. So take stock of that and make sure you are constantly rearranging who you spend your energy with. You know what I mean? Who you're allowing into your energy, and who you're also allowing to take your energy. Up here when we were talking about how you might feel drained. So again, then the taking is not always bad if they need it, because you don't have to feel drained after. We talked about that, but keep that in mind. So obviously people are very important. Bringing people together, very important. You might be the catalyst that brings people together. So keep that in mind. If you have that energy, be aware of it, because that's a superpower. So keep that in mind. Keep making connections where you can too. We're going to go to the next important day here. So this is the Wowser card. It means usually like something big happens where you're just like, I'd never experienced this in my life before, and it expands you and it opens you up in new ways you never thought. The relationship is a child. And the emotion is love, and what is just obviously coming through here, you could probably already tell, is the birth of your child expands you in surreal ways. And it is very human, but at the same time, it's beyond human. The love you have for a child, especially here, feels very much like this child is a soulmate as well. So it's like you the soulmate of the bonding with the woman, the marriage, brought about a soulmate in the child. So it feels very much like the child is where that soulmate thing really cements itself. It feels like it's like, this is your son and this is the boy, and like I can't explain it, but that's all that's coming through is like the son, the boy, the da da da. Like you see so much of yourself in this child, and like the child is so, it feels like the child is ahead of his time. Like there's wisdom in the child, but there's also mischievous in the child. Like this child is very well rounded and like encompasses who you are too. So you see yourself in the child as well, and it's just such a unique bond, and a bond you've never felt before, never had before, even though you've loved your people and you loved your family and you loved your parents, this and that. This is your like family that you created. So there is a lot of love is what it feels like, more love than you've ever felt before. In different levels, which it feels like this is just huge message in reminding you that, let's say you are bored at life, or you feel like you're at limbo or at a plateau, you will always come across another time, another phase, another period, another moment where you will be expanded, like your whole insides, your soul, your heart, everything will expand in new ways, and you will feel in new ways. Like you already know, there's already more than one way to feel love, but there's also more than a million ways to feel love. So it's like, just remind yourself that you are not done yet, like that you are not even close to done to experiencing what things feel like. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you might have kids and you know what it's like to love a child, that incredible mother, child bond perhaps, but it can go even more, because let's say you're a young, mother for young children, and you love them to pieces, that you love them more than you ever thought you can love anything, right? Well, wait till they're teenagers, wait till they're adults, wait until you are a grandmother, wait until you're on your deathbed and there is your child. You have never experienced the feeling of being on your deathbed with the child that you love holding your hand as you're dying. Do you know what I mean? I mean, yeah, maybe other lives you've experienced that, but in this life, that's something you will never know the feeling of until you are there feeling it. You know what I mean? And that's what it feels right here, that bigness, the feeling of how big that feels. That's what I'm feeling here. And so this is a huge leap in his soul, because he's already so well-rounded. He's already so, there's so much integrity. I wanted to say humble at first, but it's not humble, because he's humble, but he's not. He has a big personality, which, by the way, in your current life, if you have a big personality, or you feel like your personality is so much bigger than just inside your body, that would make sense too. At the same time, you could come back in this life wanting to experience a limited a limited feeling in that way, but the opposite connection kind of thing. But if anything, it would feel like you feel like your personality, sometimes you want to burst out of your skin. That would be a connection. Anyway, back to here, this huge lesson of love in new ways. So it's just again a message just to carry on what you're doing, and you're going to see how much more, how there is so much more that life has to offer, like so much more. Even if you feel like it's mundane, or you can see the routine, you could see the cycle happening the rest of your life, and oh my gosh, I have to this is boring. And it might not be, and that's okay. But if you ever have those moments, or you feel that way, like, okay, this is it, don't worry, hold on, stuff's coming. You know what I mean? So just be open to that, and open to the experiences, and it won't hurt for you to step outside your comfort zone and create experiences for yourself, because this could be coming up, this big feeling that I'm feeling here could be coming up for you as a message too, like, hey, if you want to feel more, if you want to experience more, have more fun in life, feel the mystery of life, be intrigued, all those things, feel, sensual about life and things like that. It's also a message of take that first step, do something different, get out of your routine, try it. Or if you are someone that steps out of your routine, keep it up, that kind of thing. So keep making connections here where you can. And we're going to go to the death. And here we have the water card. Let the water take me over right there. That's what it says right there. And a lot of times we get floods and people drowning and things like that. However, I'm just going to tell you, this feels like we're looking at you much older, long life, and it feels like you pass away in a very wet, rainy season. It just feels like it's raining, and it's just that kind of environment, dreary, and it's also very fitting. There's something in your mind, a thought coming through as you're dying, as you pass, and you're like, how very fitting that the world would be crying for me when I pass. So, you know, the planet is crying, heavens are crying. So there is a little bit of ego here, a little bit of narcissism in this aspect, and that's okay because it's human to be that way. But that's coming up because it's telling you it's okay to love yourself enough or to think highly of yourself. It's okay to have an ego. It's okay, all these things that, you know, you hear spiritually speaking, to get rid of your ego and this and that. Really, when it comes to it, the most important thing is to just be accepting of the whole human experience. So if you have a little ego, or if you feel good about yourself, or if you feel like things are happening around you because you're making it happen and it's for you, that's okay. Like, allow yourself those moments of like pride, or allowing yourself to think the world revolves around you for a moment. It's okay. You're human. Like, let that happen, because if anything, that might boost your confidence when you need it the most. So allow yourself to have those moments. You might be someone that's so scared even to experience ego, or experience loving yourself in a way where it might come off as narcissistic. You know, no one wants anyone to, you know, hear them, obviously, or see them that way, but you can allow yourself to have those moments for yourself inside in your mind. You're allowed. It doesn't make you a bad person. In fact, if you don't have those thoughts, if you don't allow yourself to think of yourself highly or put yourself on a pedestal ever, this would be a message for you to actually do it. To actually change your humble routine up, and to like give yourself a pat on the back for the glorious goddess you are. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So, you know, there's a nice balance when it comes to the ego. There's a balance. As long as you know it's there and you're aware of it and you know how to talk to it, and you know how to teach it, so to speak, or work with it, then you're fine. Just keep the balance, you know? So anyway, keep making connections where you can here. The lesson of this life. So this lesson is usually, this is called like the using your mind, using your brain, using, you know, learning, and a lot of times it's academic, but this doesn't feel academic. In this sense, it's just referring to the lesson you learned here as being a leader of the people, because there is so much about being a leader that people don't take into they don't really take into consideration, really, that you are using so much brain power and so much of your mind, and that's different. Using your brain and your mind are very different things. Remember that. When you're using your brain, it's more of an intellectual thing. When you're using your mind, it can be more about your consciousness. So here we have a leader using both, which a lot of leaders don't use both. A lot of leaders just rely on the fact that, you know, they can just use their intellect, and they can just be strategic and sign papers and move and delegate and do their thing. But the real leaders do use their mind, because what comes through the mind, that's where the empathy is. So we're looking at a leader here who's very empathetic as well. And so we're looking at someone very, very well-rounded with that, which means in your current life, it could be that you can connect with that you are very empathetic, but at the same time, you are, you know, using your intellect as well. In fact, that might be very important to you. The balance between using your brain and using your heart or / mind, if that makes sense. Otherwise, this would be a message for you. Again, it's almost like it came up here and another time here about balance. So this would be just a reminder for you to balance it out. Don't get so stuck in an intellect rut where it's just strategy and it's about just like, okay, wake up at this time, do this, get this here, because life can turn into routine that way, and the routine, that's the brain part. So it would be just a reminder, don't just get stuck in that brain part when you can be over here in your heart and your mind with empathy and with laughter and joy. That's where all that good stuff is. So just make sure that you are balancing it out and in a way that's, again, getting you out of the routine, making sure life isn't boring. If you're, again, paying attention to that heart, because the brain's always going to be there, the routine will always be there, it's easy to fall into. The heart and mind is where you actually have to make an effort to step out of your comfort zone and do things that are filling up that love bucket for you, and meeting all of your, not just your needs, but most of your wants, if not all. So keep making connections where you can with this lesson card. I feel like there's more here. But anyway, there is your past life. You have a lot of stuff to look up in Google. I'd love to hear if you want to share, if you found anything. I'd be super interested. If not, that's fine. But there's your past life. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're able to make some connections from that. And thanks for letting me read you.